Well, now it's time for a sponsored Fireside chat. And I have to say the title is one of the longest that I've ever seen, so bear with me. The discussion will be around seamless coverage between terrestrial and satellite non-terrestrial networks for devices, sensors, machines to bring energy efficient solutions to the market.
Can you guys hear me? Yeah, now it's on. Thanks very much. I'd like to bring up my panel. We're going to have two panels, one after the other. They have some similarity. It's all about enabling better global coverage and value for customers. Let me bring up my first esteemed panel. I'd like to ask you to introduce both of you, each of you, introduce yourself, please.
Hi, folks. My name is Andrew. I run the technology groups out of Skylo, and Skylo is a NTN, NB-IoT satellite-enabled mobile network operator, enabling a variety of different types of applications in the IoT and consumer segment. So very much happy to be here, and thanks for having me.
Excellent. Loic?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Loic Bonvarlet. I'm the SVP Product Marketing at Kigen for the last 4 years. So Kigen is a spin-off coming from the ARM ecosystem that's focused on delivering SIM solutions, whether it's SIM, eSIM, and iSIM, and associated services. And so we are pleased to be here today as well to talk about NTN.
Excellent. Welcome to both of you. So the two companies have formed a partnership, I take it. Why don't we talk a little bit about the partnership and also why you formed this partnership?
Sure. So, very happy to partner with Kigen here. And, I think one of the exciting areas that's been receiving a lot of attention in the NTN space is the opportunity to connect consumers using some of these narrowband protocols over satellite for the purposes of emergency services, for the purposes of two-way text messaging, location sharing, et cetera. And I've had the great opportunity to partner with the Kigen organization to help bring those products to market with some of our other customers, Motorola, Bullet, et cetera. And I think what we're going to talk about a little bit is some of the consumer handset products as well as accessory products. So very happy to partner with them to take what is traditionally a IoT product, but when combined with satellite connectivity, to bring it also into the consumer segment.
Yeah, great. Yeah, so we've been investigating this NTN initiative for a little bit at Kigen, and I found that really it's a market that's creating a lot of traction and interest because it's the evolution of two parallel technology coming back together, right? Back in the day, you would quite often oppose cellular and satellite as competing technology for certain services, and now you have a kind of a convergence with the ability to work on more integrated devices. And our token of contribution there is to provide SIM solutions so that a device can be authenticated on the Skylo network of partners in the right form factor for the devices and provide in the right level of quantity and service and manufacturing option effectively SIM solution in plastic SIM, solderable SIM, or integrated SIM even form factor.
Yeah, I think there's just one point I wanted to build on here. And so, everyone in this room is very familiar with the cellular ecosystem, familiar with the satellite ecosystem. Both of these have existed as parallels for the last 30, 40 years or so. And given some of the activities with the 3GPP and others, for the very first time, these two ecosystems have the chance to come together, and to come together by eliminating changes in behavior. Changes in behavior in terms of what chipsets you use, how you authenticate with a network operator, how consumers or enterprises use these products. And I think that's a pretty exciting time to take the unique capabilities of both of these infrastructures and bring them together as one overall holistic service offering.
And it sounds like this is available today.
So this is just rolling out over the coming months here. And so you're going to start to see these products in the field real soon.
Excellent. And there's no dish required, nothing.
No dish required. It's the same phone, the same device that's in your pocket already.
Yeah. So on that front, I would say I can present you here these devices, which is the Motorola DeFi Satellite Link. You might have heard of it today because it won the Best in Show award, the Glomo Award at MWC. And it's basically a two-way messaging devices that you can pair to your phone via a Bluetooth link. It's powered by a MediaTek chipset. And it leverages the Skylo technology to be able to provide emergency service, two-way messaging, and a set of services available on an app available on your smartphone provided by Bullet. So In that type of product, we provide an embedded SIM, which contains the necessary keys and authentication to the Skylo network, as an example, for the system to work fine.
So let's, as many of these panels go, let's talk a little bit more about verticals and use cases. What do you think the first set of use cases would be?
So I think there's kind of two main categories that pop up here. And obviously one of them is the consumer segment. And again, we're seeing a lot of interest in the smartphone space, in enabling smartphones. Again, there's that first Motorola smartphone itself, but also accessory products to enable a variety of phones. I think you're going to see continued growth in that consumer segment. But also one of the other segments that was mentioned by one of our previous speakers is in the industrial asset tracking and logistics spaces here. And I think one of the opportunities, again, by converging these network delivery mechanisms, satellite and terrestrial, is the opportunity to significantly reduce and address some of the complexities as it relates to IoT deployments. Earlier today we saw a picture of an electrical grid on the screen here, and for organizations that want to start using data to be a foundation for their business, being able to address some of those complexities in terms of, hey, where do I have this type of coverage versus that type of coverage? What types of devices do I have to deploy here? We also heard talks about the complexity of different operator deployments in different portions of the world, different countries, et cetera here. By being able to lay down global, uniform satellite networks across these regions, it allows that connectivity to be taken a little bit more for granted and allows operators of infrastructure assets like electrical grids and others to have uniform global deployments, which I think helps realize that IoT dream around reducing the costs and increasing the efficiency of these underlying physical assets.
So to that point, if I'm a device maker, you were talking about behaviors being the same.
Yeah.
Are the behaviors the same? Do I have to do anything different, or is it just one SIM?
Yeah.
So on that front, I would say today on this type of product, it's, for example, a SIM dedicated to the Skylo and network connectivity over satellite. But not so far ahead, we have partners, notably in the cellular module space, such as Murata and Altair there, that integrate also this type of NTN technology into their products. And those chipsets have also the capabilities of doing integrated SIM, which is you can select to have either your cellular profile or your satellite profile as part of this integrated SIM, and really leverage a very tight integration and combination of an IoT product combining cellular and satellite for certain use cases. So yeah, you mentioned, maybe could mention also emergency services which really require a very strong security on the connection. If cellular goes down for any reason, they're covered by an emergency service as well.
So like, just to interject, so it'd be like remote worker, I'm out in the,
exactly.
I'm climbing a cell tower in the middle of nowhere, and there's a problem or whatever.
And we picture a outdoor enthusiast, and I'm one of those, but I could see myself, I hurt myself on my mountain bike not so long ago. If I was alone, I would have been in kind of deep trouble there, and I would have been happy to have this type of device with me.
And we're now seeing satellite capability, not necessarily perhaps from you, that's rolling out, like in my Apple iPhone, has a SOS capability.
Yes.
So the consumer applications are becoming increasingly important, especially for this partnership. So what are some of the other verticals that you're pursuing?
Yeah, so again, I think the other part being the logistics and the asset tracking spaces here.
So like maritime or...
Maritime use cases, basically think about the logistics chain where you have, oftentimes precious pieces of cargo going across land, across sea, across rail, all these different sets of infrastructure, and oftentimes crossing 10 different chains of custody, 10 different networks along the way, and it's very difficult for those asset owners to maintain access to, visibility to, et cetera. And by being able to offer, again, that same cellular device, but having the capability to roam onto a satellite network when you lose your traditional network, I think that's a big enabler for that type of ecosystem, and that's one of the big areas where we're focused on.
So sometimes I like to ask sort of the inverse question. What verticals do you avoid? What verticals are not appropriate for this?
Well, I would say you could think of, IP data requirements. This is clearly not this type of services. Even if satellite are progressing, satellite technology, people are launching, faster and faster throughput on this type of services with more integrated device. But today, I would say this is not the primary use case, right? So anything high speed, obviously, anything related to streaming, etc. And I think that's really important to say it's not for everything, right? And to acknowledge the fact that it services specific needs, right? Another point I would make there is that the cellular deployments are driven by the population, right? And network usage, right?
That's right. Well, in some areas you don't have great cellular coverage.
Exactly.
Even where I live in Boston, in the U.S., I live literally at the intersection of two major. One's called the America's Technology Highway, and I have crappy service. Hello, GSMA. Or maybe the tower providers. But is that sort of a relevant aspect?
On that front, I would say the telematics aspect, right? People who have a use case which will cross deserted areas, for long-haul transport, etc., and have a need to require, hour by hour, minute by minute tracking despite no coverage because of regulatory requirement, because of maybe temperature or cold monitoring requirements. There is a use case for those type of application, I think.
Now, we didn't prepare for this, but you mentioned regulatory. Is there a different set of regulatory issues that bring in a satellite kind of require?
Yeah, so regulatory is a regional or national thing here. Many of the regulatory elements are already in place for satellite connectivity. Some of those, regions or countries, as an example, like the U.S., have a few different types of regulatory hurdles to challenge or to overcome. However, we work with our regulatory partners, as an example, in the U.S., to abstract those challenges and extract those hurdles from the actual end device manufacturers or folks who want to leverage this type of technology.
So I often say that, and I said this in a couple of the panels I did earlier today, IoT is a team sport. Obviously, we see a good team here. What other teammates or partners would the two of you seek? What kinds of companies would make this partnership even stronger?
Yeah, so I think it's really a combination of an entire supply chain to build a cellular or satellite device. That is, you start with a chipset, right? That's the foundation of the technology. The technology for satellite needs to be embedded inside a chipset able of doing the RF transaction compliant with NTN requirements. Then you have to manage the authentication piece, so players like us, SIM players who can deliver this type of solution. With the agility, I think it's really important to underline that this is a nascent need, and you need to be able to adapt to the requirements, I would say, of the SIM function in that product. And then you definitely need OEM and service players. So here I mentioned Bullet is providing the service on this device, right? They have to design an end-to-end infrastructure to build a customer and to provide, I would say, an experience. And this is really important, I think, to provide a good, end-user experience for this type of product to be successful.
Yeah. No, it's a huge ecosystem play across the board. As he was just mentioning here, and one of the other players, even on the delivery side, is our MNO partners. And so, the purpose of satellite is not to replace the terrestrial connectivity; it's about augmenting that. And even as an example, just earlier today, we had an announcement about our partnership with Deutsche Telekom in terms of helping bring this capability to market here. So it's a huge ecosystem play.
So we do have about 90 seconds left in this particular chat. Maybe that's a good place to land it, is if you wanted to kind of comment more on that particular partnership, that announcement.
Sure. So again, from Skylo's perspective, we are about augmenting the existing connectivity and offering hybrid connectivity services to the ecosystem, and doing so in a manner which doesn't change user behavior, so that it's easy for OEMs, easy for consumers, easy for end subscribers to bring up this service here. And so many of the main folks that we work with are the wonderful MNOs, MVNOs out there in terms of enabling roaming situations, enabling hybrid connectivity such that the infrastructure operator over Germany, over wherever this may be, who have existing relationships with these MNOs, how we can augment them with satellite connectivity such that they can have uniformity of devices, uniformity of authentication mechanisms, uniformity of network deployments to enable them to, again, realize some of those data collection and IoT deployment dreams.
Excellent. I want to thank you both. I want to congratulate you on this wonderful announcement that's hanging up over our heads. And I would encourage anybody that wants to chat with either of these two gents, they'll be taking off their microphones and hanging out in the back for a few minutes. So feel free if you want to form a new partnership and expand on what they've been doing. Feel free to chat with them. Thanks very much. Thanks very much to my panelists,
Thanks,
to the
Mark.
audience.
Thank you.